Hey everybody, thanks for being here and thanks for your time. This is Bill Linz here, and just a little bit about us. First of all, you should all be here for the webinar with Nick Vita, Jumpstarting Your Search, your job search, and Seizing Your Future. A little bit about us, Play to Hire Inc. We have jobs for all now and jobs for grads now, and we are literally here to help take the guesswork out of finding a job, and that's what we have webinars and certainly our 10-step system that we have to take the guesswork away. And we do that, as I said, through many means, and also helping career centers in helping them be more effective and getting more of the students engaged to help them in their job search as well. But literally, if you have any questions as far as a couple of housekeeping issues, any questions, please ask. Nick will try to get to all of them if we're able to, and I think probably we will. Nick loves that interaction aspect of it. He does you should see him live, but this is the next best thing, so to speak. So we'll certainly make it enjoyable for you in that vein. But if you do have a question, please ask. Absolutely. As I said, excuse me, as I said, Nick loves to answer those questions. Okay. With that, let me start by introducing our guest presenter here today. And that is Nick Vita. Nick Vita is with Vita Partners, and he helps not just organizations but also individuals in developing them to empower to be tomorrow's leaders. We've talked about this quite a bit, I know, Nick, about how important human capital is and how important it is to really drive an organization or literally any venture. And Nick's experience has been literally global, as we were just saying, with Carrington Fox and several other organizations, where he has advised directors on human capital management decisions, hiring, training, managing several teams, and certainly coaching, as he's going to do here today for us, clients and candidates and job seekers in general. So with that, let me start the show, so to speak, and Nick, welcome aboard, and take it away.
Great. Thanks a lot, Bill, for the kind words of the introduction there. I hope everyone can hear me okay. But I think Bill sort of gave a pretty clear insight on what we're going to be doing here today. I'm guessing all of you are here to try to get a little bit of insight, but perhaps a little help or guidance for the job search that you're going to be working on right now.
Nick, you're coming across a little muffled.
Okay. Is that better?
Little better.
Okay.
Still a little muffled, Nick.
Okay.
There you go, much better. There you go, that's great.
Okay. And so basically one of the things that I just wanted to touch on that Bill came across is the concept of human capital. And one of the best and most popular business writers of all time, Jim Collins in Good to Great, basically said that human capital, in other words, getting the right people on board, is the single most important step for any company or organization or venture or whatever you want to call it. So most of the top companies out there take this very, very seriously. At the end of the day, acquiring top talent that can serve for their mission is really the highest priority on their list. Because if they can't put the right people in the seats to do the job, they're going to have a lot of trouble sustaining that success that they've had already. So why don't we get started here with with jumpstarting your job search and some of the things you can keep in mind. Then I'll give you a little insight on probably what the people you're interviewing with are thinking, but also a little business strategy to go behind formulating your search and really crystallizing the path you want to be going on. Okay. So the first thing that I always say is we have to accept the fact that there's a plunge, right? And it's really not that unlike plunging into cold water, in an icy ocean. It's a little bit traumatizing. Sometimes it's disorienting, and it's definitely uncomfortable. And that's just the reality of it. So the first thing we have to do is really acknowledge that transition. And whether you're a first-time job seeker, or you're someone who's maybe looking to switch industries and get into something different, or maybe just exploring opportunities that are outside of the organization you're in right now. Whatever it is, you're a lot of times going to be entering into territory that's unknown, right? You're going to be swimming into uncharted waters, so to speak. And a lot of times we know this, from history. We've seen examples of this all over the place. What we're not completely familiar with and what we don't know intimately, we often fear. Okay? And a lot of times it's that fear that kind of holds us back from really striving to seek our true potential in what we're doing, whether that be a job, whether that be parenting, whether that be schoolwork, or is in this case searching for a job. So one of the first things that we have to understand is we got to accept the fact that there's going to be things that are happening that you're not going to be familiar with, right? That you're going to be a little uncomfortable with, and you have to be willing to overcome those when they come about. It's going to happen. The next thing that we want to talk about today is really developing a vision and formulating a plan that will help you acquire and reach the vision that you've developed, right? Every business, every venture, every organization in the world has a mission statement, okay, or a purpose statement, or something along the lines that guides everyone inside that company or inside that organization on what they should be doing to get to where the company wants to go. And your job search is no different. If you don't have an understanding of where you're trying to go, it's going to be extremely difficult to get there. So that's one of the things that we want to talk about today as well. And then we need to sort of put together a plan that will help you get there. And that's sort of a continual adjustment and a continual improvement process. But you definitely have to start somewhere. So let's get moving. And one of the things you see at the bottom of the page here is, no wind favors he who has no port. And I think that's really just a brilliant, small little snippet of advice there. Because you're going to come across a lot of opportunities that could really be beneficial to you. But unless you have some sort of an idea of a direction that you're heading in, it's going to be very difficult to capitalize on those opportunities.
Good point.
So that's just something to keep in mind while we're going through the overall PowerPoint presentation here today.
Great.
So next is our goal, great success. Right? Of course. Everyone wants to get a phenomenal job. Everyone wants to be doing stuff that's really exciting. Everyone wants it to happen overnight. And that's true. And we're here to try to make sure you have the best opportunity possible to do that. But let's not get ahead of ourselves. Okay? This is a very important time because people spend on average 40 hours a week working, right? Roughly 33% of their life awake, working at their job. This is a big decision. You want to be doing something that you're going to be happy doing. You want to be doing something that you find meaning in. So while there's certainly different benefits to every different job that you could be doing, you want to make sure you're picking the one that's right for you, because whatever it is you choose, or in this case choose to pursue, there's going to be a lot of time in your life going forward spent doing that. And that'll really have a huge impact on your overall quality of life. So whilst we are striving for success, let's question what success really means. And let's try to make sure that we're striving for the right type of success, more importantly. So before we start, I think one of the most important things is making sure that you're getting your perspective right. And this is not one of the more challenging things, but it's certainly one of the most important ones. Because if you go into a scenario, it doesn't matter what it is, with the wrong scenario, with the wrong perspective, no matter how well that scenario plays out for you, you might end up interpreting it wrong. Okay? And that could potentially cost you in something like a job search. So one of the things I like to say to people is it's a win-win, right? And what that means is you have to really take an understanding of the reality of your situation. So, for example, if you're someone who's been you're a mother who's been raising your kids, and you're now trying to go out and pursue a job that's related to the degree you got a few years back, or let's say you're a recent college student, or let's say you worked in an industry for 10, 15, 20 years, and now you're trying to transfer into something different, just because maybe your tastes have changed a little bit, or you just want to explore to see what else is out there. The reality of your situation is most people that are going to be interviewing you aren't going to expect you to be a master of that new industry. Okay? You're making a transition.
Right.
Yes, you absolutely have a certain skill set that you've acquired thus far.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm sure that, that's definitely an impressive skill set and can be very valuable when applied properly. But the catch is that your overall understanding as a depth of the industry you might be looking at, or might be interviewing in, or might be talking to someone who's already in that industry, is probably going to be a lot more shallow than the person you're speaking with. And that's okay. That's okay. That's part of life. This person has been doing this for a long time. They're obviously in a scenario where they're interviewing people to hire for their company. They have a certain amount of competency, in most cases I would hope a high-level competency, for the business that they're in right now. And that's just how it works. So there's a good chance that person is going to know more about your industry than you do, and that's fine. So why it's a win-win is when you go into these interviews, right, or let's say you're calling someone up to try to get an interview, they're not expecting very much of you. And if you do your research and you approach the situation properly, right, and you do everything in your power that you can control to make sure you're making the best impression possible, it is a win-win. Because either A, you're going to do a very good job and they're going to say, sure, come on in for an interview, let's talk more, and that's exactly what you hoped would happen. Or B, they're going to say, well, you don't really seem to know that much about the industry because you didn't really know about this, that, or the other. Now the key is to make sure that you are considering what you don't know in these scenarios, right? You're asking the other person, what did I lack? What could I have done better? Seeking ways to improve. Because that's really what's going to make that situation that didn't turn out the way you wanted to the most valuable situation around. It's giving you the opportunity to learn. And that brings us to the next point, is the scarcest resource of all, time. Every experience, whether it be an introduction, a handshake, a cold call to a company to try to get an interview, whether it be an email that you're sending to someone on LinkedIn, it doesn't matter. You only have every experience once. Okay? That one moment where you answer that one question in that one interview is only going to happen once. And if you don't take advantage of it in the sense that either you execute really well or you don't execute well and learn from that scenario, you're cheating yourself in the long run. Right? Because you're right there, you just wasted that opportunity to either grow or push yourself more forward in what you're trying to do. And that's an important thing to think about because really it is the scarcest resource of all time. Because if you have all the wealth in the world and all the knowledge in the world, but you only have 10 hours to live, that only goes so far, right? You really want to make sure that you are taking what you have as far as a hard and soft skill set and utilizing time to your advantage in that scenario. And so
boy, that's a great point.
Yeah, absolutely. It's something that obviously it goes well beyond just your job search, and it's something that I hope that a lot of people try to take beyond their job search, but it certainly plays a large factor in the job search process as well. And so that really brings us to the bottom line here is absorb quickly. And there's a great quote down there at the bottom of that is an organization's ability to learn and translate that learning into action rapidly is the ultimate competitive advantage. And that's by Jack Welch.